All eyes are on that chimney atop the Sistine Chapel as the world waits to find out who will be the next pope. Good afternoon. We begin at the Vatican, where the College of Cardinals have gathered to resume their voting. 3
rounds have already come and gone without electing the next leader of the Catholic Church. Black smoke billowed this morning, indicating that no pope was elected. Thousands of people had gathered in St. Peter's Square earlier today, waiting for that moment a new pope had been chosen. Many are now hoping that the Cardinals will choose a successor for Pope Francis in the next round of voting. CTV's Adrian Gabriel is standing by in the Vatican with the latest. Adrian, what's it like in Vatican Square with all this excitement?
Yeah, well, the afternoon votes are taking place as we speak, Nathan, and I can tell you I was just taking a look over the balcony here. We're up on a rooftop of a monastery across from St. Peter's Square. Thousands are lined up, pouring into St. Peter's Square this hour in anticipation that we could see a pope selected this afternoon, this evening. We're waiting to see. I'm joined by Randy Boyagoda, professor at the University of Toronto, author. I've also written for the New York Times extensively about the inner workings of the Vatican. Take us through the excitement today, Randy, that you are seeing, and just how many people are arriving here. A record number last night, even.
Absolutely. I'll say this: I went for a run this morning, early, knowing that we'd be standing around for the rest of the day. I ran by St. Peter's Square. It was empty. You would have no idea anything was going on except for some media cameras and things here and there. And then over the course of the day, as you were just saying, the numbers are growing. You can almost hear a kind of an excited polyglot murmur with crying babies everywhere, and the sense here is any moment now, while we're chatting right now, we might see smoke, whether white or black. And I overheard someone say yesterday that the Romans know they don't need phones; they'll just start coming right around now. And when you start to hear more local Italian accents, you know that it's getting closer to a smoke signal.
And we're waiting to see, and just to bring our viewers up to speed, so the third vote of today, the fourth vote of this conclave, we believe has just recently wrapped up. If they have found a 2/3 majority, we could see white smoke billow from the top of the Sistine Chapel at any moment. If not, they will go right back in for a fourth and final vote for today. And then we wait till later this evening, probably around 7:30 local time. If it's white smoke, if it's black smoke. We know that when a pope is selected, they enter a room often called the Room of Tears, where they fully realize the weight that has been put on their shoulders.
Yes.
Talk about the enormous task the next pope will have in front of them.
Yeah, well, let me just say, on my way there, when Paul VI was elected pope in the mid-1960s, after his death, some private material was found in which he described that experience of going into that room as incredibly lonely, because he felt the immensity of the task before him in taking on this role.
Life has changed forever.
Yeah, exactly. And he has all these responsibilities now beyond anything that he otherwise would have wanted to have done with his life. So you're right. The next pope faces many challenges and opportunities. We have this unprecedented global interest in the papacy right now, in this election. And so the question becomes, will this next pope be someone who, we would say in Latin, ad extra, is going out into the world, trying to capitalize on this intense interest? Or will it be more of an ad intra person, looking inside the church and identifying areas of governance, of finance, where there is some needed work? I think it's a balance between those two things, and I'm sure all those cardinal electors are weighing these issues right now.
Before we let you go, Randy, we know that there's lots of wagers happening. I got to hear it from you. Are we going to see white smoke on this day?
I'm going to say yes to white smoke, but later today.
Okay. We're going to have to wait and see. Nathan, thank you very much, Professor Boyagoda. Really appreciate your time. I know you'll be staying close with us. Nathan, one of the headlines on one of Italy's national newspapers today was "The Long Wait." And so we wait and see just how long it will be.
All right, anticipation building. CTV's Adrian Gabriel at the Vatican. Thank you.
Coming up on CTV News at noon, it's the first call in case of emergency. But a new provincial campaign takes aim at the misuse of 911. We'll explain the new directions meant to help keep the phone lines clear for those who really need them.
But first, the Leafs have taken a 2-0 lead in their Stanley Cup playoff series against the Panthers.
The team will now head to Florida, but before they hit the road, they spoke this morning about the big win. Let's get to CTV's Sean Leathong, who's been following every step of the playoff series. He's at the Ford Performance Center. Sean, 2 in a row. Let's go.
It was quite the statement game last night, Michelle and Nathan. The Leafs at times coming back from behind and then putting really the game to the Florida Panthers. The players talking about that today. But one of the biggest factors in the game, of course, was that crowd in Scotiabank Arena. And here's what some of the fans had to say afterwards.
Oh, my God. Best game ever. Florida, take 1 of 2. We got this.
We believe, baby! We bleed blue! We bleed blue!
I love the game. Yeah, the boys are going. The boys are going. Yeah!
Oh, where's our audio?
Period. Mitch Marner actually scoring a humongous goal for the Leafs after they had surrendered the lead and Florida had tied the game 3-3. Marner scoring almost immediately on the following shift, and it was a huge moment where the crowd had been behind the team the entire game, pushing the team forward. And then the players talked about what it was like to play in front of the crowd today, and Coach Craig Berube also talked about what it's like to have those pushback shifts, getting a goal when they absolutely need it. Here's what they had to say.
The building's more alive right now, and it's beautiful to see. You know, we feed off the crowd, and when they get the Go Leafs Go chants going, we definitely hear that. So it's been a privilege to be out there skating around. Yeah.
I think it's been all year where most of the year or in playoffs where we respond, we get scored on. It's like, well, okay, well, we need a good shift now. And I think our guys, you know, 1 through 4 in the lines and the D go out there and with that mentality. You know, we're not gonna sit back and, oh, here they come, we're going to go after them. And
so the Leafs travel to Florida in an ideal position, up 2-0, just like they were against the Ottawa Senators. But we know the Florida Panthers are a tougher opponent than the Senators were, coming off just a Stanley Cup 1 year ago. And in their travel plans, we found out today the Leafs will not be joined by starting goaltender Anthony Stolarz, who looks to be out for some more time. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. To the other playoff action last night, the Toronto Sceptres opened the PWHL playoffs at home against the Minnesota Frost.
Looking to tie it, 3 seconds to go! Toronto takes down Minnesota!
The Sceptres netting a 3-2 win over the defending champs in Game 1 at Coca-Cola Coliseum. Julia Gosling scored twice, and Blair Turnbull also had a goal, while Kristen Campbell stopped 24 shots for the win. Some of the Sceptres players spoke this morning about winning Game 1.
I thought as a team we played a really complete game, and I think it showed by the way that we were able to stay above them. So I think if there's one thing, it's probably the way we were able to reload above them and not give them that time and space. And like they said, like the D stepping up, like Savannah's gap, like the D were able to hold such great gaps. So I think going into the next.
All right, we're interrupting because we have breaking news. This is a live shot of the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City, Rome. And do you see what we see there? White smoke. Earlier in the day, it was black. White smoke means that the Cardinals have, in fact, decided on the next pope. So it only ended up taking a matter of days. People were wondering, we were just there earlier, if we would have to wait for many more. But it seems a new pope has been chosen. This white smoke billowing in the air, indicating that a candidate has received 2/3 of the vote. So given that there are more than 130 cardinals, that's 89 votes. And this means that we will have a pope. The question now is, who did they choose? And there has been a lot of speculation as to who it could be, but we will have to wait and see until the Pope comes out in a matter of time, revealing themselves to the world. This is a really big moment, Nathan.
Right, and the process does take some time after this. They don't immediately announce the name of the person. All we know is that the Cardinals themselves, those with the red hats, they know who the Pope that has been chosen is, and then it'll take some time for the rest of us to find out. But can only imagine the drama and the excitement there for this to finally happen. And funny, we were just talking to Adrian Gabriel at the Vatican City, who said with his guest, more than likely this is going to happen very soon. I mean, you can't predict it, but there it is, this ritual that is just so dramatic to watch live. There's a live shot from the Vatican City of the white smoke billowing out. And as they were saying earlier, for this person who's been chosen with this enormous responsibility, they go to what's called a room of tears, which I've never even heard of, to basically just think about the enormity and try to get your head around how your life moving forward will be changed forever. So hopefully we can check in with Adrian Gobriel to get some reaction to this.
Oh, I want to see what people are doing in the square at this hour, because this is one of the world's biggest tourist destinations, Vatican City. So there are people who are just there as tourists wanting to have a front row seat to history, but also there are people who are Catholics who have traveled there to witness this. This doesn't happen all that often, and it is, you know, this is whoever is this next pope, and we are going to be waiting to find out. This is someone who's going to lead 1.3 billion Catholics in the world, and the Pope, it's, you know, it's a huge role. I mean, when Francis died, Pope Francis, you had world leaders coming for the funeral. It's a massive role, and sometimes they weigh in on big issues of our time, and we know right now there are big issues, wars and all these sorts of things. So the question will be, will this Pope be someone progressive, a little bit more? It really remains to be seen.
Yeah, you wonder, because there have been the hopes that whoever the new Pope is will be just as inclusive as Pope Francis, just as progressive as Pope Francis, but there's also some critics as well hoping that they become a little bit different, more conservative. So we don't know what direction the Catholic Church is going to take, but we know this person is going to be the head of the Catholic Church and responsible in terms of the direction of the faith for over 1 billion people. So again, it's a massive responsibility, and everything they do and say will be covered.
And really, what does this say? So this is the second day of the conclave. There have been 3 rounds of voting prior to this. Oh, there we go. We got some live shots of people in the square chanting. Let's listen in for just a second. I'm not sure if we can bring it up. Yeah. Oh, okay, so this is another broadcast, but we'll just be able to watch, and you can see people are waving flags and cheering. What a special occasion for them to be there and see the white smoke billowing from the Sistine Chapel. But given that it only took a couple of days, not 2 full days, it shows that they were able to reach a 2/3 vote, 89 votes, within a relatively quick amount of time. And in more modern times, it certainly hasn't taken that long. It hasn't taken weeks or months. And I think part of the reasoning sometimes is that these cardinals want to show unity. And so if the voting were to have dragged on, it might signal that there is, you know, they aren't united in terms of choosing a leader.
And I wonder, I mean, of course, none of us are there, but what was it like for them? What's the process? Who were the candidates? We had names that we assumed were the leading candidates, but we don't know for sure. We don't know what country they're from, but we're going to find out. It normally takes a couple of hours before the actual name of the new Pope is released and revealed. But we know that 89 votes came in, at least, the 2/3 required to become the next pontiff. And we're going to have to wait to find out who the winner actually is. But it's just incredible, the drama that has gone down for the past couple of days. And it's pretty amazing that we're able to see it live, the white smoke billowing.
Beautiful Vatican City. The bells have been tolling at St. Peter's Basilica to signal the news, and people around the world have been waiting for this moment. And I think it's particularly special for Catholics here in Canada because you have a number of Canadian cardinals. Is it possible that a Canadian cardinal is is the person who's been chosen to be the next pope? It is possible, not likely, based on the experts we've spoken to in recent weeks. But this is an image of some of the contenders. And really, Pope Francis was not necessarily the obvious choice. And so this next pope could be a surprise. But these are some of the people who could potentially be the one who was chosen. I'm not sure if you can see their names. They're a little bit tricky for us, but certainly the popes from around the world. There are some from Europe, North America. A lot of the cardinals who made up the conclave, a lot of them are from Europe, but we've got some from the Philippines, Italy, and Guinea, and all bring different things to the table. But those Cardinals had a big decision to make, and clearly they found a two-thirds consensus.
Yeah, and such a diverse group of who could possibly be the next pope. I mean, will they be from Africa? Ghana, an English-speaking African country, but many people there, of course, on that list can speak multiple languages, which is not necessarily a requirement, but it certainly comes in handy when you're the pope trying to communicate with the entire world. So those were the leading candidates, but again, we don't know. And we'll find out in a couple of hours as to who it is. But we just know the person who it is right now is letting it all sink in, as we are.
Well, and there's so much that happens. This whole process, the conclave, is centuries old. You can see the bells tolling there to signal the breaking news this hour that a new pope has been chosen. And part of the history is the fact that they're going to have to, this new pope is going to have to choose a name, and that will become their name. And there's, you know, centuries of history there. It'll be curious to see which name they choose and why. And it is certainly going to be something to watch the world around. And it's amazing that smoke's still going. And that smoke is the ballots that are being burned. They put a special chemical in there, which allows for white smoke. A different chemical's put in there for the black smoke, which we had watched the past couple of days. But now they have chosen, they have come to a decision. 133 Cardinals who were locked up, Cardinals from all around the world, and some from Canada, traveled there to Vatican City, and they put in their ballots, and they have now chosen a pope.
We're looking forward to getting reaction to this, and of course we're going to move on to this from this huge breaking story. All right, we've got more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. We've got some clouds. You've probably noticed much cooler temperatures compared to yesterday. Maybe surprising for some, but it's all relative. Where are the temperatures going from here? Hopefully up. Lindsay Morrison has got a look at the current conditions. Lindsay.
Well, Nathan, I just have to acknowledge one more time how beautiful that scene is at Vatican City. The sun just shining behind the building. How special for us to all see this live on CTV News at noon together. And we are waiting for the sun to return here in southern Ontario. It's starting to peek through the clouds around the shoreline of Lake Huron. Muskoka, you're now experiencing some sunshine. Still some local cloud for us here at this time. Temperature-wise, we have started to climb, but yeah, it's a cool start to the day today in the single digits at this hour in many areas. We are forecasting that we will climb into the double digits a little later this afternoon, but we've got a north wind, in fact, a northeasterly wind at this hour, so that's keeping us cool. Here's today at a glance. Forecast daytime high 14 degrees. The normal this time of year is 18, so we are cooler than normal, but again, we are expecting more in the way of sun. Here's what you need to know for tonight. It's going to be chilly, and we've got the risk of frost. We'll show you who is now under a frost advisory coming up a little later in your forecast. For now, though, Nathan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. A man was rushed to hospital this morning after a shooting in Mississauga. Peel police say they were called to the scene on Lundeen Road a few minutes after 8 a.m. That's near the QEW and Winston Churchill Boulevard. They confirmed a victim was shot and injured. Paramedics say those injuries were minor and the man was being treated at a local hospital. 2 schools in the area were put into hold and secure. So far, investigators haven't shared any suspect information.
A woman is fighting for her life in hospital following a crash in Etobicoke. This happened shortly before 5 p.m. in the area of Kipling and Eglinton. Police say a motorcycle and a vehicle collided. The motorcycle rider, a woman in her 30s, was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. The driver of the other vehicle remained on the scene. The cause of this crash is under investigation.
A new province-wide campaign is targeting 911 misuse.
It aims to educate people about what constitutes an emergency so that responders can devote their time to people who need immediate help. CTV's John Musselman is live at Peel Region Headquarters with more on this. John.
Well, Michelle, what we're learning is more than half of all the calls to 911 are not emergency calls, and that's what this provincial program is all about. It was launched here in Brampton. We'll show you some video. The program is called When Every Second Counts, and what they're really trying to get here to the public is don't call 911 if it's not an emergency. This is tying up a lot of the 911 lines, and when that happens, it means they can't focus on the true emergencies, what we're dealing with all over Ontario. So dignitaries gathered here today, paramedic services, police, all talking about this issue, and again, reinforcing to the public, Call your city services, not 911, if you have a problem that is not emergency related. Here's what some of the people had to say at this news event.
This misuse includes not only nuisance calls, but it also includes calls from residents seeking access to community services. In fact, our research indicates that 30% of Ontarians don't know what number to call other than 911 for answers to their questions about simple municipal services.
We had calls, people complaining about a cricket game being noisy. That's not the right reason to call 911. Don't take police away or first responders away from a critical response. And that's why I wholeheartedly support this campaign. I want to make sure that we don't lose seconds. We don't lose precious time in responding to emergencies in our community.
One of the key things that we've identified through this campaign is the reason we're seeing people misusing 911 is because they don't know what number to call for municipal services. This campaign is intended to help navigate them to those alternate numbers that can help them source the answer to the question that they're facing at a particular point in time and avoid the use of 911.
And that's part of this campaign as well. They've launched a website where people can go on there to find out what number in the community they live in they should be calling if it's a non-emergency. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. Deputy Mayor Jennifer McKelvey is bidding farewell to Toronto City Hall as she heads for Parliament Hill. McKelvey was elected as an MP for Ajax at last week's federal election. Her office confirmed today tomorrow will be her last day as Deputy Mayor and Councillor for Scarborough Rouge Park. She also took on the responsibilities of the office of the Mayor after John Tory's resignation and until Olivia Chow was elected. McKelvey said in a statement, "It's been an immense honor to serve at City Hall for the last 7 years, and she's enjoyed every minute."
At Queen's Park, parents are speaking out about proposed cuts to educational services being considered by school boards like the TDSB.
But the provincial government claims they're spending more on education than ever before. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has the story.
The frustration from parents and educators is real.
I stand here today enraged, almost to the point of tears, and heartbroken at the lack of chronic funding for our public education system.
Calling out a setup that's leading school boards like the TDSB to consider cuts to clear deficits. That leaves parents, including those of children with special needs, in the middle.
They're angry that their children are being excluded from going to school on a regular basis or being bullied. We are hearing students don't have the support they need to attend school safely, nor are they able to be in specialized classrooms that can help them thrive because they are being cut.
Despite those challenges, the government stresses it's spending more on education than ever before.
Don't tell me what you're spending, Speaker. Tell me what you're doing. And the results show just that. Crumbling schools, crowded classrooms,
the Associate Minister of Energy
exceptional needs not being met, violence in schools.
The Education Minister says he's hearing from parents they want dollars refocused on the classroom.
That is what I'm asking the boards to do. Work with me, double down on ensuring a line-by-line approach to funding so that we can ensure that maximum resources go to our teachers so that they can maximize the time that they spend with students.
At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
In Washington, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced his administration has reached a trade agreement with the United Kingdom.
The U.K. will reduce or eliminate numerous non-tariff barriers that unfairly discriminated against American products. But this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries because it'll be really great for the U.K. also. So they're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed, and we appreciate that. They'll also be fast-tracking American goods through their customs process, so our exports go to a very, very quick form of approval, and there won't be any red tape. Things are going to move very quickly both ways.
Now we take this into
Washington will cut tariffs on UK autos, steel, and aluminum. Britain agreed to lower its duties to 1.8% from 5.1% and provide greater access to American goods. The terms of the deal have yet to be completed, so it can be signed. CTV's Kamal Karamali joins us now. Kamal, what do we know? What more do we know about this trade deal between the U.S. and the U.K.?
Michelle, you can bet Canada is watching very closely because this is the first bilateral agreement since the tariffs came into play after February 1st. And we know that so far the details are a little sparse. We're not getting as much concrete details as many thought we would, more broad strokes, but we are learning a little bit about what was discussed and what this trade deal includes. As you mentioned, steel and aluminum front and center here, where the U.S.-UK trade deal will cut tariffs on British automobiles from 27.5% all the way down to 10% for about 100,000 vehicles every year. There will also be a removal of tariffs on British steel and aluminum, reducing them from 25% down to zero. Last year, Britain sent 370 million pounds. That's nearly 700 million Canadian dollars worth of steel to the U.S., just letting you know what's on the table here. And the U.S. president also said that the agreement would lead to more beef and ethanol exports to the UK, reducing trade barriers of several agricultural products. Those details on those agricultural products still a little sparse, but he also spoke about less red tape when it comes to customs from goods going through to processing through customs to the UK. Have a listen to what Trump had to say a little bit earlier this morning in his press availability.
The final details are being written up in the coming weeks. We'll have it all very conclusive, but the actual deal is a very conclusive one. We think just about everything's been approved. So good for both countries, and we'll also receive new market access for American chemicals, machinery, and many other industrial products that weren't allowed, and they'll end up getting products that they'll be able to price, and if they like them better and we make great products, they'll be buying those products, but they were not available in the UK.
And one thing worth noting, that 10% base tariff, Michelle and Nathan, that came into place in early April, that is still in effect, although once again aluminum and steel severely reduced down from 25% to zero, and cutting tariffs on British automobiles down from 27.5% down to 10%.
Kamal, stocks rising on this news. The Dow jumped 500 points. What are analysts saying about what this might mean for trade with other countries, and specifically with our own?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the countries that are watching this most closely, probably Canada, Mexico, and China as well. Let's not forget, China has about 145% tariffs on its products currently. And what Trump said from the Oval Office today when asked about where the other deals are with other countries, he said, quote, they are very close. We know that his staff are planning on meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping in Switzerland over the weekend, according to his staff. So that might be the next deal that it gets taken care of, possibly. But he also spoke about other European nations that are front and center and possibly close to the finish line. So really, this giving many other countries a sense of what U.S. President Donald Trump and his administration is looking for in terms of a deal. Although, once again, details of this UK-US deal still need to be ironed out. They say it's it's at the finish line, but it doesn't appear that it's quite written in stone just yet. Michelle and Nathan, back over to you.
Appreciate it. CTV's Kamal Karamali in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister will meet with Canada's premiers again next month. Mark Carney spoke with the provincial and territorial leaders yesterday. He briefed them on his first meeting with Donald Trump at the White House last week, when the two leaders talked tariffs and U.S.-Canada relations. Next month in Saskatoon, the First Ministers will discuss ways to strengthen our country. Carney has said there must be a focus on building up Canada's economic resilience in the face of immediate trade pressures.
Across the world, people are pausing today to mark 80 years since a crucial moment in history, Victory in Europe Day. Here in Toronto, a wreath-laying ceremony took place at the Victory Peace Monument in Coronation Park. Veterans and government officials, including Mayor Olivia Chow, were there to commemorate the day the Nazis officially surrendered, which finally brought the Second World War to an end in Europe on May 8th of 1945. A commemorative ceremony was also held in Ottawa. Members of the military joined dignitaries and the public at the National War Memorial. The 80th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands was also recognized during today's ceremony. Canadians led the way during the campaign to free that country from occupation during the Second World War. And in the UK, King Charles and Queen Camilla attended a VE Day ceremony at Westminster Abbey. The Prince of Wales, as well as Prime Minister Keir Starmer, attended the service that saw Alexander Churchill light the VE Day 80th anniversary candle. He is the 10-year-old great-great-grandson of Winston Churchill. Lindsay.
So it is noticeably cooler out there today. We know this. We will continue to feel below seasonal through the afternoon. But let's talk about tonight. Those forecast overnight lows in some parts of our province near the freezing mark, especially around Owen Sound, Parry Sound, and Orillia, maybe slightly below in the Bancroft area. The area that you see here under a frost advisory. Yes, it's that time of year. Many of us are thinking about our gardens. You'll want to protect any plants that are currently trying to grow out there tonight. Risk of it here in Toronto as well, even though we are not under the advisory. We're going to take you through the 7-day forecast coming up. There is warmer weather on the way. We'll show you when it arrives after this.
They say art is in the eye of the beholder, and now you can lay your eyes on thousands of works of art here in Toronto, all in one place at the Artist Project at the Better Living Centre. That's where we find our Jessica Smith this afternoon to show us around. Jess.
Michelle, there is work from all over Canada here, and it is just so cool to see all the different displays, the big art, the small art, the installations. I'm joined by Mia Nielsen. You're kind of in charge of this whole thing, and I've been walking through this morning, and there's so much to see. But tell me what the Artist Project is.
Well, the Artist Project is a massive exhibition. We have over 250 independent artists here from across Canada. It is the perfect place to connect with art, to meet the makers, which is always so exciting, to make that personal connection and, you know, maybe treat yourself, bring something home.
Listen, you have me at treat yourself. But also, we're promoting and celebrating Canadian art. How important is that? I know obviously we're trying to think Canadian right now more than ever, but this is a really cool opportunity to support artists from all over our beautiful country.
Absolutely. And you know what is so exciting about this show is that you are making such a difference in an artist's life, and you are, you know, bringing something home that is so meaningful to you, and you have stories to tell about it, and it is an opportunity to create a space that reflects who you are, your identity. And you know, without these opportunities, you know, our artists, you know, wouldn't have an opportunity to make as much.
And speaking of artists, we're her name's on the wall. We're going to just do a nice big wide. Leslie Liu's art. Leslie, I was saying when I walked up to the work initially, I was like, oh, these are really cool patterns, but they're individual, beautiful little pieces. Talk to me about what inspires you and what it's like to be here among all these beautiful and talented artists.
Well, I'm so excited to be debuting my art this weekend at the Artist Project. And my art is about the aspects of curiosity. So being intrigued about something from afar, and then when you get up close, each ring in my piece reveals a different story about the subject matter. So each of my works is made up of thousands of individually cut pieces of paper arranged in concentric circles.
And I really love the one up here where this was a commissioned piece for a couple, but if you go really close, you can see their wedding photos, you can see pictures of their family. How much work goes into putting these together? Because these are, I feel like, thousands of little individual pictures.
Yeah, this piece is to celebrate a couple's 50th wedding anniversary. And so my process really starts with understanding the subject matter and researching and finding those stories that are hidden within, and then picking an icon to reflect in my piece. So each ring represents something individual about the subject matter, but as a whole, it comes together to create a bigger narrative.
It really is so cool. The longer I look at every single picture, I see something a little bit different. Everything kind of kicks off this evening and it goes right through to the 11th. What can people expect if they walk into this and they've never heard of it before, but what can they expect?
Well, there are artists from all across Canada showing their art, and some are more seasoned and some are debuting, like myself. And tonight is the opening night, and so there will be a lot of special events and different events to see, and different interactions and installations. Yeah, so it's going to be an exciting, fun time.
Listen, you have me at art. You can visit theartistproject.com for more information. Thank you so much. We're going to send things back inside. I'm going to look at some art.
Ooh, enjoy.
Everything's there. It's a work of art.
I know, new piece for your place. All right. So weather-wise today, noticeably cooler. I think it maybe caught some people off guard, but we are steadily going to warm back up.
Well, funny, I think it caught me off guard. I was busy, I guess, in the whole Leaf game last night, not thinking about the forecast. And as I'm heading out for a walk, people were wearing shorts, and I could tell that they were cold. It was chilly this morning.
I mean, it didn't catch me off guard because I knew what was coming, but I'll admit it, I don't want to go back to the warmer jacket. Once we've moved past it, I want to keep moving forward, and we will be putting those jackets away again by the time we reach the early part of next week, maybe sooner. This weekend is going to bring improvements in the temperature department as well, and then we are on our way to experiencing a nice stretch of sun beginning this afternoon. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. But this morning, not exactly sunny. It's been pretty overcast for a good portion of the day so far, and it's also been cool, so a bit of a double whammy there. As we make our way now through the early part of this afternoon, worth mentioning, lots of golf courses starting to open up, so that's a sign that we are entering the warmer half of the spring season. Expect some cloud cover early on. We're not expecting wet weather for today, so at least there's that. And by the late afternoon, we do expect that some of the cloud is going to clear and we'll enjoy some sunshine. Temperatures remain a little below seasonal. 14 is what we're forecasting here locally. We're going to maybe struggle to get there, but my fingers are crossed for today. The record low for this day is -3 degrees. So we have been colder on this 8th day of May. And just want to point out again that the seasonal average is 18 degrees. Keep that in mind as we make our way through the next few here. You'll notice that we return to seasonal and then climb slightly above. Let's talk about frost. The first advisory of the season has been issued for areas like London and then just around the north side of the GTA, but the risk of frost is here tonight as well in the city of Toronto. There's a couple of different ingredients that you need for frost. You need it to be calm as far as the winds are concerned, clear as far as the skies, and a little cool. And we are going to have all of those things. This is what we're waking up to tomorrow morning. Mainly sunny skies, temperatures in the single digits, maybe dropping to about 3 for a low here overnight. And then tomorrow, we're back into the mid and in some cases upper teens. So already that's a little bit of an improvement, a seasonal day, and warmer air is really going to push in again for the early part of next week. We're talking mid-20 highs at times. Here's a look at the satellite and radar, and you can see that cloud, as mentioned, the cloud is sinking to the south. So if you're joining us closer to the shoreline of Georgian Bay, for example, you might be seeing a little more sun. But these lows that we've been waiting to exit for days now, slowly making their way eastward, and as a result, a nice little sunny pattern for us. I do want to mention the possibility of a little bit of midday cloud for tomorrow, but other than that, it is sunshine for your Saturday and for your Sunday. Monday as well, there's that high of 25. Next best chance of wet weather begins Tuesday night and into Wednesday. That's the forecast, Michelle. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. And stay with us as we follow breaking news. A new pope has been chosen. White smoke was billowing from the Sistine Chapel around 6:07 local time on this day 2 of the conclave. There are people in St. Peter's Square who erupted in cheers, overcome with emotion. This is a live look at the Vatican as we wait to hear the announcement of who will be the new pontiff. Whoever that person is, they will be emerging from that balcony. Stay with us.
Each year, almost 250,000 Canadians experience homelessness.
Getting them vital health care can be challenging, but as CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan reports, one program has found success.
There are more than 10,000 people experiencing homelessness in Toronto on any given night. The numbers have increased dramatically since COVID.
And Dr. Stephen Huang says the medical problems they face can be life-threatening.
Skin or soft tissue infections, which we call cellulitis. They may have breathing or respiratory problems like pneumonia or COPD. They sometimes have heart conditions such as heart failure, uncontrolled diabetes.
St. Michael's Hospital has the highest concentration of unhoused patients in Ontario, and research showed 30% of those patients who turned up at emergency were returning within 3 months, more than twice the rate of other patients. It pointed to a need for follow-up attention.
They need a place to recuperate. They need friends or family or home care to support them. They need to take medications, maybe get wound care.
The Navigator program was created in 2019 through private donations.
Hi, how are you doing today?
From one Navigator, the program now has 3 people helping clients get whatever they need after leaving the hospital. One male client writes, "I'm homeless, I am bipolar, so I've got a mental disability and I've got crutches I got to walk around on. Having my Navigator has been extremely beneficial and they're flexible, they're always there." Another says, "My Navigator makes sure that I get transport. The day that I left the shelter to go to the hospital, I didn't have access to clothing, so my Navigator saw that and put all those things in place for me. Also my medication. They got it and made sure everything was in place." Huang says the modern world often sees technology as the solution to many problems.
And so our intervention is what I would call high touch rather than high tech.
The program has proven so successful that it is now expanding to Montreal and Vancouver thanks to a generous corporate donation. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
A group of Ontario mayors is calling on the province to ban some tactics used to lure doctors to certain cities. The mayors want the province to stop municipalities from offering financial incentives to bring doctors to their communities. They say the strategy harms rural and northern regions who can't pony up the cash. Sault Ste. Marie Mayor Matthew Shoemaker wants the federal government to step in and outlaw the practice across the country.
And stay with us on CTV News at noon. A new pope has been chosen. This is a live look at the Vatican. Cardinals have made their pick, signaling with white smoke that they have a new leader of the Catholic Church. Stay with us as we wait to hear the announcement of the new pontiff. Breaking news this noon hour, a new pope has been chosen on this day 2 of the conclave. White smoke signaling to the faithful around the world. The Cardinals have decided on the new leader of the Catholic Church. CTV's Adrian Gabriel has a front row seat to history. Adrian, we talked to you at the top of the hour after those first ballots turned up black smoke. Now suddenly a decision. What is the reaction there in St. Peter's Square?
Yeah, just near the top of the hour, Michelle, we heard the roar from the crowd, and then we saw the white smoke begin to billow. I'm joined by Neil McCarthy with the Toronto Archdiocese. We're joined by Jerry O'Connell. Neil, as the bells were ringing at St. Peter's Square, as the smoke billowed from the Sistine Chapel, I saw the emotion take over you, and just take us through those moments, what that was like for you and what so many are feeling this hour.
Well, we're saying goodbye to Francis and hello to the new Pope. We don't know who that is yet. Overwhelming for sure, our global shepherd. And also, it's not lost on me the privilege to be in the middle of history unfolding. It's really a beautiful thing.
We do have a front row to history right now as we wait. We still don't know who the new Pope is. We're waiting for the name to be announced from the balcony, joined by Jerry O'Connell. Jerry, talk about the anticipation of this moment as we wait to see who the next Pope will be for the Catholic Church and for the world.
Well, we don't know the name, not the nationality of the man. This morning they were saying on the street here in Rome that it's Italy versus the Philippines. We have to see if that is really the case. But what we do know is that in about a half an hour, we will know the answers to both questions. What the nationality is, who the man is, and then the man himself will come out to bless the city of Rome. We'll have about 250,000 people here almost already, and the world.
133 cardinals went into the conclave, Michelle. 132 came out. We'll send it back to you for now as we await the new Pope.
CTV's Adrian Gabriel live for us in Vatican City. And yes, just they're saying about half an hour's time, we'll find out who emerges from this balcony. It is a big moment in history. We're going to leave it here. We'll take a quick break. More when we return.
Back to our breaking news jubilation at the Vatican as white smoke signals to the world that a new pope has been elected. We're expected to soon learn the name of the successor to Pope Francis that has been chosen.
And yes, there is celebration. You can see it there. People draped in flags from countries around the world, Catholics who have been following this conclave very closely. And just about 7 minutes past the noon hour, our time, it was 6:07 there in Rome, that white smoke emerging from the Sistine Chapel where all the cardinals have been in lockup. And the bells of St. Peter's Square ringing out, signaling that indeed a new pontiff has been chosen. This was the second day of the conclave. 133 cardinals were in there, some from Canada, and 2/3, 89 of them, voted for one person, the person who will now be the next pope. And we're looking at this balcony because this is where the new pope is due to emerge early this afternoon, potentially next hour, to announce who they are, their new name, and they will be the successor to Pope Francis and step forward and deliver their first public address and blessing to people who are watching from around the world.
Yeah, pretty amazing. They're going to do typically a short prayer as well. And then down the line, you'll have the official inauguration, followed by the Pope's first Mass. So there's all this ritual, all this pomp and circumstance that goes back centuries as far as what we're waiting for. But that would be the next step for the new Pope to come out on that balcony, the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, and to be introduced to the entire world.
The average conclave in recent decades, usually 3 days. The decision was made in 2, so they managed to reach consensus rather quickly, and it makes you wonder just who it's going to be. There's been lots of speculation. We will find out, and we will bring it all for you at CTV News at 5 and 6.
And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.